Assalamualaikum. So today me and my team are going to present about the National Archives of Malaysia. My name is Muhammad Hilmi bin Muhammad Romli and my team member is Adi Amirul bin Razali, Muhammad Zul Husni bin Kamaluddin, Nur Izli Zurin binti Borhan and Ahmad Amri Haris bin Azmi. So let's get to the topic, which is what is the National Archive of Malaysia. So the National Archive of Malaysia, or NAM, is a government institution that is responsible to preserve and keep national value. It also acts as a center that collects and preserves the material, also the accurate historical facts. So the National Archive of Malaysia become the main place as the valuable archive and national research center. Let's go for the function of National Archives of Malaysia. The function is to provide advisory services and consultation to government department on ethics and sound public record management practices, systematically and effectively for safeguarding the public record. Next, detect, collect, and maintain high national and historical record and information as the national heritage treasure of Malaysia. Also provide reference and research facility as well as the documentation for the purpose of providing information on the history of the homeland. Distribute historical information and knowledge for public viewing and information. For the source of archive are the primary sources. They keep the primary sources, which is a direct or first-hand evidence about an event, object, person, or word of art. It gives first-hand information, so it means that it is original and unfiltered. Often provide information that is unavailable elsewhere. Then, the activities in the National Archives of Malaysia. Firstly, preservation activities. Archival processing often include backseat preservation practices such as removing staple and paperclip, placing material in acid-free folder and boxes, isolating acidic material to avoid acid migration, photocopying damaged or acidic document, and unfolding paper. Next, examining new transfer and collection truly. Besides that, preserving archival material. Material arriving from sources within the public sector should be prepared by the record center or transferring agency in accordance with current standards that have been set by the National Archives of Malaysia. Other than that, appraisal of archival material. Appraisal refers to the process used to assess record and to determine the archival value of possible acquisition and their suitability to keep permanently for your institution. Type of record keep. So there are several types of record in the National Archives of Malaysia. For example, is printed, sketch, and audio-visual. Printed is the common type of record that people know. So the example for the printed record is book, journal, and manuscript. So for the sketch is the type of record that contains some structure that usually used by the architect to refer to. For example, for the sketch is blueprint. And for the audio-visual is the material particular important in educational environment, with university and school libraries generally holding strong audio-visual collection. So the audio-visual collection such as microform, microfilm or microfiche are the means of preserving and distributing copies of information sources. Many libraries hold background of newspaper in microform in order to save space and because microform are less likely to degrade than newsprint. For the responsibility of the archive, they have the responsibility to keep the valuable information and treasure about Malaysia in a safe place, to help preserve the archive material for the future generation, and to ensure any fact and history about any institution is kept well preserved as well as the main function as a primary source of information to the government and to the citizen. So, what will happen if the National Archive doesn't exist? Students will have trouble in writing facts or evidence about Malaysia, cannot do research about any films that is based on history about Malaysia. Malaysia's useful information will not have a place to store it and will be affected by society. Malaysian citizens will have no right to claim history and information about the national heritage of Malaysia. So all of this show that the importance of National Archives of Malaysia as the place to gather and information about the history or the fact of everything that happened in the past.
Next is National Archive of Malaysia background. National Archive of Malaysia, founded on 1st December in 1957, it's formerly known as Public Records Office in Petaling Jaya, has changed into an archive that stores valuable records and information for the nation's future under the name of National Archive of Malaysia. This building is now located at Jalan Duta, Kuala Lumpur, is now the most important government organisation where Tun Hussein On, the third Malaysian Prime Minister at the time, placed the fundamentals of the archives on the year 1970. The National Archive of Malaysia was officially launched on 1st December in 1982 by Yang di-Pertuan Agong. It becomes the main building for many of the government sectors that sees the archives as the scarce place that stores the valuable information that keeps and preserves the national treasures. The National Archive of Malaysia has 9 other branches located across the country, such as Kedah, Perlis, Pulau Pinang, Perak, Johor, Negeri Sembilan, Melaka, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, Sarawak and Sabah. Next slide. The National Archive of Malaysia carries its responsibility through several important departments. First, Planning and Coordination Department. Second, Government Records Management Department. Third, Archive Management Department. Fourth, Management Services Department. Fifth, Development Department. Sixth, Research and Documentations Management Departments. And the last one is Statements Archive Departments. Visions of National Archive Malaysia is leading the transformations of records management and archive administration as the National Research Centre of Excellence by the year 2020. Purpose of systematic records management. The purpose of systematic records management ensures that institutional records of vital historical, fiscal and legal value are identified and preserved, and that non-essential records are discarded in a timely manner according to established guidelines and identified legislation. What are the Statements Archive? Statement Archive is the memorial building that is built or named to commemorate the service and contributions of the state figures of Malaysia. The list of memorials. the Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra Memorial, the Tunku Abdul Razak Memorial, Mahathir Mohamad's birthplace, Galeria Sri Perdana, P. Ramlee's Memorial Library, and Tun Abdul Ghaffar Babar Memorial.
They have two awards that is received by the National Archives of Malaysia. First, UNESCO GG Memory of the World Prize 2009 in Jeonju Town. It is gift of 20,000 USD to commemorate the registration of GG. The world oldest iron print book made in 1377. The gift is given once every 2 years to any individual or organization known to have made significant contribution to the business, the preservation and accessibility of heritage materials at regional and global level. This award proves that Malaysia National Archives is recognized on the world stage. Second, surat menyurat Sultan Abdul Hamid that is stored at the National Archives of Malaysia is also recognized by UNESCO as Memory of the World in 2002. Recognition invited by ICA. They are invited to set up a branch for the Southeast Asia. The National Archives of Malaysia succeeded to organize a conference for the establishment of SEBICA. Disaster Management. The National Archives of Malaysia Department also helped the other archival institutions in other countries to manage a record as a result of natural disaster. They were also recognized as one of the best archival institutions in Southeast Asia. Example of other countries that receive the record management service from our country are Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Timor-Leste, and Sri Lanka.
Next, for the logo and definition, the National Archives of Malaysia logo were designed by Mr. Somali bin Ahmad. The logo competition ran from 12 January to 10 April 1979. The logo emulates the dome-shaped form of the Sultan Abdul Samad building, which symbolized the image of Malaysia. The definition of the logo is the papers numbering 30 pieces is a symbol of the country's document and records. The attachment of the 30 pieces of paper represent the 30 states that form Malaysia, which in effect link the documents and record of the country to its rich historical background. The flower-shaped paper with 30 petals symbolize the cultural values and elements of the country document and records. There are two acts for National Archive. First, National Archive Act 1996. These acts give the responsibilities to the National Archives of Malaysia responsible for the preservation of archive and public records in Malaysia. Second, National Archives Act 2003 Act 629. approved by Parliament on 8 July 2003 and has been enforced of its usage on 10 October 2003. It aims to provide for the procurement, conservation, use and management of public archives. For development of Audiovisual Documentation Center, the establishment of Audiovisual Documentation Center is approved on 40 July 1999 has realizing the National Archive hope of expanding the acquisition and preservation of audiovisual material just as much as paper. This center started to be built on 2008 and finished completely on 17 December 2009. Through this center, National Archive can ensure that the collection, acquisition, processing, preservation, copying, and storage of audiovisual material from a variety of sources can be carried out more actively and professionally.
Next, we are looking at the list of activities done by National Archives of Malaysia. First, Majlis Pengkisahan Sejarah, sesi dialog antara Ketua Pengarah Arkib Negara Malaysia bersama penggiat seni. Next, bicara tokoh Tun Abdul Razak, program mengenang tokoh negarawan, pendokumentasian Istana Negara, and finally, pameran pelancaran beberapa judul buku. The purpose of these activities is to bring the people of Malaysia together, regardless of race, age, religion, and race. Next, to bring a whole new dimension to the introduction of Malaysian archive, especially to the younger generation. National Archives are also taking steps to ensure their existence is always relevant. The material in its storage is always accessible anywhere and at any time through the Malaysia exclusive archive portal. It is called a compass system. The functions of compass system is for the customers who wants to find the materials needed and get the registration number from the website to receive the materials needed. It is a fast and effective system for the customers who do not have the resources to travel to the National Archives of Malaysia building, as they can access the materials online. As a conclusion, all parties need to work together to preserve the facts and resources of the archive so that the dream of making Malaysia as a solid nation is realized. Other bodies also need to play part in preserving the records in terms of the history, building and documentation so that the archive will lead this charge. It shows that the resources that are kept in the National Archive can ensure the sovereignty of the country. The National Archives of Malaysia plays an integral part to maintain a record of authenticity. With national history, we are able to track and learn what happened to the earlier generations in Malaysia, and the National Archives of Malaysia provides the authentic facts to do a research for the students and researchers. That is all. Thank you.